Finding the percents of a number. We're going to find the whole when given a percent and a part. This is 14-6A, Envision Math 6. You learned in the previous lessons how to find the part when given a whole and a percentage, then how to find the percentage when given the part and the whole. In this lesson, we'll find the whole, or 100%, when given the part and a percentage. We are going to use estimates again to see if our answer is reasonable. And our ways to solve are going to be that we will use proportions in a formula, and we are also going to use some models, number lines. So first, let's see how to estimate this. Our problem says that Bree scored 90% on her last math test. She scored 135 points on the test. How many points were possible? Asking 90% of what number is 135. We are going to try to use some benchmark fractions. And benchmark fractions are fractions that occur frequently. So they could be something like 1/2, 3/4, or even in this case, like 90%, 9/10. Well, we know that 90% is close to 100%, or one whole. So I'm going to guess that if 135 is 90%, now keep in mind 90% out of 100 would be 90 out of 100. You would only have 10 more to go until you reached 100. So I'm thinking, since this 135 is 90%, and it's more than 100, I'm going to have to go more than 10 to reach 100%. So I'm going to guess I'll have to go about 15. So I think 100% of the whole is about 150, and that will be my estimate. Could I have estimated to a different number? Of course, because estimates are your best guess. Now we're going to find the actual whole, or what 100% is. Our first way to solve, we said, was to use proportions in a formula. So we're asking 135 is 90% of what? What is that whole? Well, we are going to fill in what we know, and we are going to solve for the unknown. So first we will look at this formula here. So we are going to say we've got over 100. Do we know the percentage? Yes, that is 90. Do we know the whole? No, that's where I'm going to put my X, but I do know that that part is 135. So at this point, I will cross multiply, which is going to give me 13,500, and that will equal 90x. I'm going to need to divide by 90 on both sides of my equation to get the x alone. And that is going to leave me with x equals 150. How does that compare to our estimate? Well, our estimate was 150, so we were right on. If we look at the number line model, it is showing 90% compared to 100%, and then it's got a similar line showing that 135 is 90% and P is the 100%. So you would still actually set it up in the formula, 135 to P equals 90 to 100, and then you would simply cross multiply and follow the same procedure we did on the left-hand side. Let's look at a second problem. On this one, it says, on the science test, Marty scored 72% of what Mary scored. If Marty earned 18 points, how many did Mary earn? So we're asking 72% of what number is 18? Well, 72% is close to 75%, or 3/4. So I'm going to use a little model here. I'm going to guess that if 18 is 3 out of the 4 parts, so 18 has to be this much of it. So let me think. What is 18 divided by 3? That would give me 6 in each of those. So that would mean in my last part I would also need 6. So then that means I'm going to guess that my whole is 6 times 4, which would be 24. So I'm going to say that whole is about 24, and that is going to be my estimate. Now let's find the actual whole, or what 100% is. We're asking 18 is 72% of what number? So let's go ahead and set this up in our formula. I've got the 72 in the percent spot, the 100 where it goes, and 18 is my is because that's the part, and I don't know the whole. Now I will go ahead and cross multiply, which is going to give me 72x equals 1,800. I'm going to need to divide by 72 on both sides of the equation to get that x alone. And that will give us x is 25. Now we say, how does that compare to our estimate? Well, our estimate was 24, so I think that means our answer is very reasonable. If we look at our number line model, again, they're saying it's comparing 72 to 100, and we would set that equal to 18 over m. That would leave us to cross multiply and solve the same as we have on the left. Now you try. Go ahead and pause the video, and when you hit play, the answers will appear. Do not forget to estimate first. Okay, first for my estimate, I'm going to say 40% is close to 50%, which is about 1/2. So I'm going to say if half of something is 80, the other half would be 80. So my estimate is going to be, I think the whole is about 160. For my actual answer, I'll have 80 over x equals 40 over 100. When I cross multiply, that is going to give me 8,000 will equal 40x. I will divide by 40 on both sides of the equation to get rid of the 40 next to the x and leave the x alone, which is going to give me 200 equals x. How does that compare to my estimate? Well, my estimate was 160, so that's not too far off. I believe my answer is reasonable. All right, here's a second problem for you to try. Go ahead and hit pause, and when you hit play again, the answer will appear. Don't forget to estimate first. Okay, now we're saying 50% of what number is 80? Well, 50% again is 1/2. So I'm saying if half of something is 80, then the whole thing should be 160. And when we actually solve this, we are going to have 50% and 80 on the is part and x below. So that is going to give us 8,000 equals 50x. We will divide by 50 on both sides of the equation to make it so that we get x alone. And that gives us exactly 160, which is what our estimate was. So we are right on. Now there are 2 additional questions on the bottom here, number 1 and 2. Please pause the video, answer them, and then hit play again, and the answers will appear. Okay, the first question says Tony ran in 6 races, or 10% of the events. Do the 6 races represent the part, the percent, or the whole? Well, we're saying that 6 races is 10% of the events. So is part. So we are saying that is the part. Second question is asking us to explain the difference between what x and y represent. Well, if we look at the different parts of the equation here, we're saying 20 is 30% of x, so that means x is going to equal our whole because of is the whole. And the second one says y is 30% of y, or of 20, I mean. Well, is the part, so on the second one, y is the part. Okay, go ahead and do your quick check and see how well you understood today's lesson.